The wind screamed across the barren desert of the frontier planet Varanine, carrying sand like burning glass. The sky above was black, covered with thick storm clouds that flashed with silent lightning. It was a world no one visited anymore, forgotten by trade routes, ignored by the colonies. Only Eli, a human engineer, lived there. His outpost sat alone under the dark sky, a small dome of steel and flickering lights. For years he worked in isolation, maintaining old satellites that once watched over the edge of human space. He didn't mind the silence. The silence was safe. But that night, silence broke. A sharp beeping from the scanner jolted him awake. Red lights flashed on the control panel. Movement, outside the perimeter. Eli frowned. That couldn't be right. No life could exist out there. The storms, the radiation, the freezing nights, everything about Varanine killed fast. Even the smallest drones shut down within hours. He leaned closer, watching the blinking radar. A faint, slow-moving dot crawled across the screen, heading toward the outpost. Must be a glitch, he muttered, tapping the side of the console. The dot stayed. Eli stood and grabbed his coat. The storm outside roared like a beast. Still, something in his gut told him to look. He took a handheld light and stepped out into the night. The wind slammed into him, sand cutting across his face. His boots sank into the dust as he moved toward the signal's direction. The desert stretched endlessly, black and gray, lit only by flashes of lightning. Then he saw it. A small shape lying in the sand. At first, he thought it was a body, maybe a lost explorer from years ago. But when he got closer, he saw it move. Weakly. It was alive. The creature was small, thin, and shaking. Its skin was pale silver, covered in dust and scratches. Long fingers clutched its chest as it tried to breathe. Its eyes opened, glowing faint blue in the darkness. Eli froze. He recognized that shape, that strange bone structure. He had seen images of this species before. Years ago during the war. Zareth. They had attacked human colonies at the edge of the galaxy. Thousands had died before the peace treaty. Eli's hand tightened around his flashlight. He should call command. He should turn away. But then the creature's eyes met his. There was no hatred there. No anger. Only hunger and fear. Eli hesitated. The creature tried to lift its head but collapsed again, too weak to move. Eli sighed. You're not going to last another hour out here, are you? He pulled a small ration bar from his pocket. Here. Eat this. The creature didn't move. His breathing was slow. So Eli tore a piece of the food and placed it near its mouth. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, trembling, the alien reached out and took it. It ate slowly, like every bite hurt. Eli watched in silence. The storm raged around them, thunder shaking the ground. This was madness. Helping Azareth? They were the enemy once. But here, alone in the storm, that didn't seem to matter. After a while, Eli stood. Stay here. I'll get medical gear. He stopped. The creature looked up, its lips trembling. Then, in a voice weak but clear, it spoke. Eli. Eli froze. It spoke in English. Not broken, not mechanical, human English. How? He took a step back. What did you just say? The creature's eyes glowed brighter, faint blue light reflecting off the sand. It whispered again. Eli, don't leave me. The words felt like knives of ice. He had never met this creature. He had never told anyone his name, not since the war ended. His radio wasn't even transmitting. How do you know my name? He demanded. No answer. The alien's eyes slowly closed. Eli knelt down, heart pounding. Hey, stay awake. The creature's breathing slowed. Then, just before losing consciousness, it said one more thing, so soft that Eli almost missed it. You helped me, once. Then it went still. The storm screamed louder. Eli stood there for a long time, staring down at the pale figure half buried in the sand. His heart was racing, and yet his mind couldn't find sense in what had just happened. How could it know him? He'd never seen a Zareth this close, never fought in the war, never met one. And still, it had spoken his name like it remembered him. Lightning cracked above, lighting up the endless desert for just a second. In that flash, Eli saw something far off, dark shapes moving against the storm, silent, fast. For a heartbeat he thought it was the wind. Then his scanner beeped again. Multiple contacts. Something else was coming. Eli grabbed the creature and dragged it toward the outpost. He didn't know why he was saving it. He didn't even know if it would live. But deep inside, one thought kept echoing, one he couldn't shake off no matter how hard he tried. If that creature knew his name, then the past wasn't as forgotten as he thought. And whatever was out there in the storm, it was coming for both of them. The storm raged for hours. Lightning cracked across the dark sky, shaking the metal walls of Eli's outpost. Inside, the air smelled of burned circuits and dust. Eli worked fast, wiping the sand off the alien's skin and trying to stabilize its weak breathing. He didn't have much medical gear, only a few human tools not made for alien bodies. Still he tried. He connected the scanner to the creature's arm, watching strange symbols appear on the screen. The readings made no sense. Its blood was full of unknown energy patterns. Its heart beat slower than any known species. "Come on, stay alive," Eli whispered. The creature lay on the small med table, shivering. Its skin glowed faintly under the scanner light, a soft silver blue, like moonlight trapped under glass. For a moment, Eli forgot this was an enemy species. It just looked lost. Then, without warning, the creature moved. Its fingers twitched. Its lips parted. "Eli." The voice was clearer this time. Soft, human-like. Eli jumped back, dropping his scanner. "You can talk," he said carefully. The alien turned its head slowly toward him. Its glowing eyes opened halfway. "You helped me, before." Eli's pulse quickened. "Before? We've never met. Who are you?" The alien didn't answer. Its breathing was uneven, like it was fighting to stay awake. He tried the scanner again, running another check. The device beeped. The DNA structure didn't match any alien on record. Not Zareth. Not any known species. "What the hell are you?" Eli whispered. The alien's voice came again, broken but filled with strange emotion. "You saved me." The fire, the crash. Eli froze. He felt his stomach tighten. Fire. Crash. Those words stirred something deep in his memory, a flash of red sky, a burning ship, and a child's cry. But no, that couldn't be real. He had never. The power suddenly flickered. Lights dimmed. The storm outside screamed louder, as if something huge moved through it. Eli turned toward the monitor. Static covered the screen. Then a faint signal appeared, a transmission, weak but there. A voice, metallic and cold. "Unit 09 detected. Do not resist. Deliver the asset." Eli's blood ran cold. He looked down at the alien. "They're talking about you, aren't they?" The alien tried to sit up, but pain forced it down again. "They found me, the hunters." "Hunters?" Eli asked. The alien's voice trembled. "They will come for me. And for you." Eli stared at it in disbelief. "Why me? I don't even know you." The creature closed its eyes. "You knew me once." A flash of thunder shook the outpost. Eli looked out the window. Dark shapes were moving through the storm. Huge, silent, walking forms, not human. He grabbed his rifle. "Stay down." He cut the power, hoping to hide his heat signature. The only light came from the soft glow of the alien's skin. Eli whispered, "If they're hunting you, what do they want?" The alien looked at him, fear flickering in its glowing eyes. "They want what's inside me." "What's inside you?" The creature hesitated, then spoke softly. "Memory. Yours and mine. Together." Eli stepped back. "What does that mean?" The alien whispered, "You were part of them once. The project. You helped create me." Eli's breath caught in his throat. "That's impossible." But deep down he felt something, a faint echo in his mind, like a memory trying to surface. A lab, bright lights, and a small alien hand reaching toward him. Before he could think further, alarms blared. The scanners lit up with red dots, several fast-moving signals approaching the outpost. The alien whispered, "They're here." Eli ran to the door controls. "How many?" "3 ships. Small. They'll destroy this place to find me." Eli cursed under his breath. "You can barely move. You expect me to fight a war for you?" The alien looked at him weakly. "You already did once." Outside, something heavy landed. The ground shook. Eli could hear the faint, metallic footsteps approaching through the storm. He turned to the alien. "If I'm going to die for this, I need answers." The creature opened its eyes fully. For the first time, its voice grew clear and strong, almost human. "You gave me a name once. You called me Kale." Eli froze. The name hit him like lightning. He didn't know why, but his heart reacted before his mind could. I remember that name," he whispered. Kale nodded slowly. "Then you remember me." Before Eli could speak again, a loud crash shook the building. Metal walls groaned. A deep voice echoed from outside. "Human. Surrender the asset and you will live." Eli aimed his rifle at the door. "That's not going to happen." Kale's glow brightened slightly, casting strange shadows on the walls. "They won't stop Eli. If they capture me, they'll destroy your world next. Eli gritted his teeth. Then we make sure they don't. Outside, thunder rolled like war drums. The storm was no longer natural. It carried the sound of engines, soldiers, and the start of something much bigger. Eli didn't understand how or why. But somehow, this weak creature from the sand had dragged him back into a conflict he thought was over. The screen on his console flickered again. A single line of text appeared, written in alien code. Then it translated automatically. Project Echo, reactivated. Eli stared in silence. Kale's voice came one last time, soft but certain. You were never supposed to remember. But now, the galaxy will. The storm outside exploded with light as the first shot hit the outpost. Eli ducked, pulling Kale toward the lower tunnels. The metal screamed as another blast tore through the roof. He didn't look back. Not once. Because now he knew, this wasn't just a rescue. It was the beginning of an unexpected war. The tunnels beneath Eli's outpost were narrow and dark. The air smelled of metal and dust, every breath sharp in his chest. Above them, explosions shook the ground. The enemy was already tearing the outpost apart, searching for Kale. Eli dragged the alien down the slope, the dim blue light from Kale's skin guiding the way. Keep moving, Eli said, his voice rough from the smoke. We need to get far from here before they lock onto our heat. Kale's voice was faint. They will not stop. They can feel my signal. Eli frowned. Signal? What signal? Kale looked weak but managed to speak. It connects me to their network. To the hunters. They built me from it, but I escaped. Eli stopped. Wait, they built you? I thought you were one of them. Kale shook his head slowly. No. I was created by both. Human and alien code mixed together. The experiment they called Project Echo. Eli's heart pounded. He remembered the phrase from the console before the outpost was destroyed. Project Echo, it was real? Kale nodded weakly. You helped create it. You were part of the team that tried to unite minds, to make peace between species. But they feared it. They shut it down. I don't remember any of that, Eli said quietly. They erased you, Kale whispered. But I never forgot you. A sudden vibration shook the tunnel walls. Rocks fell from the ceiling. From far above came the sound of roaring engines and alien voices, cold, mechanical, and hungry for the hunt. Eli clenched his jaw. They're tracking us. We can't stay here. He lifted Kale's arm over his shoulder and kept moving through the darkness. At the end of the tunnel, they reached a small maintenance room, old, forgotten, filled with dust-covered equipment. Eli set Kale down and went straight to an ancient console. If this still works, he muttered, we can use the underground comm line to reach someone, anyone. He powered it up. The screen flickered to life. Static. Then, slowly, a message appeared. Incoming transmission. Unknown source. Eli's eyes widened. Someone sending us something. Kale's glow dimmed. No. Not someone. Them. The signal broke through the static. A deep, mechanical voice echoed through the small room. Eli Varen. You are harboring classified property. Hand over Unit Kale 9 and you will live. Eli froze. His full name. They knew everything. He stared at Kale. How do they know who I am? Kale's expression was full of guilt. Because I remember you. When I escaped, I used your name to find your signal. That is how I found you. That is how they found us. Eli's stomach twisted. So you brought them here? Kale's voice trembled. I had nowhere else to go. Eli wanted to be angry, but when he looked at the alien, weak, shaking, and clearly terrified, he couldn't. He sighed. You said they built you from both human and alien code, right? Kale nodded. Then there has to be a way to stop them using the same code. Kale tilted his head, confused. What do you mean? Eli looked back at the console. If we can rewrite your signal, make it send false data, we can trick them into chasing something else. It might buy us time. Kale hesitated. That could kill me. Eli met his glowing eyes. If we don't, they'll kill both of us. Kale was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. Do it. Eli began typing commands into the ancient system, connecting wires and rerouting data lines. Sparks flew from the console, but it stayed alive. Kale placed his hand on the interface. His skin lit up brighter, pulses of blue running through the wires. The screen filled with strange alien symbols. Then, suddenly, another voice broke through the comms. This one softer, human. Outpost 47, this is command. We received your distress ping. Who is this? Eli's heart jumped. This is Engineer Eli Varen. Outpost destroyed. Hostile units inbound. We have We have something you need to hear. Static filled the channel for a moment, then a different voice replied, colder. Eli Varen. You are not authorized to communicate. Project Echo was terminated. Do not transmit further. Eli froze. Even Command didn't want to talk about it. Kale looked at him, voice shaking. They fear the truth, Eli. Both sides do. Then what truth is that? Eli asked. Kale whispered, that I am proof peace is possible. I am living code of two enemies. If they find me alive, it destroys their lies. Before Eli could answer, the console beeped again, a red warning light flashed. Tracking signal detected, the computer said. Eli's eyes widened. They've locked on. A loud explosion ripped through the tunnel entrance. Fire and dust filled the air. Eli threw himself over Kale as debris rained down. Through the smoke, glowing red eyes appeared, soldiers made of metal and flesh, moving in perfect silence. Eli fired his rifle. The first one dropped, sparks flying from its armor. But there were more, too many. Kale struggled to his feet, raising a trembling hand. The air around him shimmered. A wave of blue energy pulsed outward, knocking the soldiers back. Eli stared stunned. What was that? Kale's voice was weak. The signal. I can control it for a moment. But not for long. Eli grabbed him. Then let's make that moment count. They ran deeper into the tunnels. Behind them alien voices roared, their words lost under the echo of collapsing walls. When they finally reached the far end, Eli noticed an old sign on the bulkhead door. Sector Delta, Restricted, Research Division. He looked at Kale. You led me here on purpose, didn't you? Kale nodded slowly, his voice barely a whisper. Because this is where I was born. The door opened with a groan, revealing a dark chamber filled with ancient machines, all marked with one faded symbol. The Echo Project. The metal door slammed shut behind them, sealing out the storm and the sound of the soldiers outside. Eli leaned against the wall, breathing hard. His face was covered in dust and sweat, his hands shaking from the fight. Kale sat near a broken terminal, his silver skin dim and dull now, the faint blue glow flickering like a dying light. Eli looked around. The room was huge, silent, filled with old machines. Thick cables hung from the ceiling, and faded human symbols glowed weakly on cracked screens. Dust covered everything, but one word was still clear on the nearest console. Project Echo, Research Lab 09. Eli stepped closer, brushing off the dust. So this is where it happened, he said quietly. Kale's voice was soft. Where we happened. Eli turned to him. You mean, you were created here? Kale nodded slowly. I was born here, Eli. From both human and alien DNA, mixed through your technology. You were part of the team that made me. Eli shook his head. No, that's not possible. I would remember. Kale stared at him with sad, glowing eyes. They erased it. After the experiment failed, they wiped the memories of everyone involved. They didn't want anyone to know it worked. Worked? Eli repeated. You mean, communication between species? Kale's voice trembled. Not just communication. Connection. You and I shared memories once. Thoughts, feelings. You saw my world through my eyes. Eli's heart pounded. Strange flashes filled his head, a burning sky, a small alien hand reaching out to him, and a voice whispering, Eli, don't go. He gasped and stepped back. I saw something. Just now. Kale's glow flickered brighter. You're remembering. Before Eli could answer, a sharp noise cut through the silence, metal footsteps. Kale's eyes widened. They found us. Eli rushed to the door controls, but they were dead. He could already hear the sound of drills cutting through the outer wall. They're coming through, he shouted. Kale stood, his body shaking. I can slow them down. Eli grabbed his arm. You're barely standing. You'll die. Kale smiled faintly. I was not made to live forever, Eli. Only to deliver a message. He moved toward the center of the lab and placed his hand on a large, glowing sphere, a memory core connected to the old machines. Blue light spread through the wires, pulsing like a heartbeat. What are you doing? Eli asked. Waking up the lab, Kale said. Everything they tried to erase is still here. The consoles around them flickered to life, one by one, showing fragments of old recordings. Scientists working, humans and aliens standing side by side, early experiments. And then, a video. A younger version of Eli appeared on screen. His voice was calm but tired. Test 47. Communication link successful. Subject shows emotional empathy. Naming process complete. Designation, Kale. Eli stared at the image of himself, speechless. You named me, Cale said softly. Eli's throat felt dry. I did. I really did. The moment was broken by a deafening crash. The outer wall exploded inward, sending metal flying. Armed alien soldiers stepped through the smoke, red lights glowing on their armor. Target located, one of them hissed. Eli fired first, hitting the closest soldier. Cale raised his hand again, sending out a pulse of blue energy that threw two more against the wall. But the effort drained him. He fell to his knees, shaking violently. Cale? Eli yelled, grabbing him. Cale's voice was weak. Go. You have to reach the uplink. Eli looked at the far wall. There, a door marked communication array. He pulled Cale onto his shoulder and ran. Blasts echoed behind them, sparks and dust filling the corridor. The soldiers were close. They turned a corner, and Eli spotted an old transport lift. He slammed the button. It didn't respond. He hit it again, and the ancient gears finally groaned to life. Hurry, Cale whispered. The door opened just as the first soldier fired. The blast missed Eli by inches, melting part of the wall. He jumped inside, slamming the close button. The lift began to rise with painful slowness. Eli reloaded his rifle. How far does this go? Cale coughed. To the surface, and beyond. There's a signal tower on the ridge. If you can reach it, you can send the truth. The truth? Eli said. Cale's eyes dimmed. The proof that humans and aliens were once united. That we were one creation, not enemies. The lift shook again, another explosion below. The whole shaft trembled. Eli held Cale tightly. You're not dying here. Not after all this. Cale smiled faintly. Then hurry. They're following. The lift stopped with a violent jolt. The doors opened to a dark cave at the surface. Cold wind rushed in, carrying the smell of the storm. They stepped out. Far in the distance, lightning flashed over the desert. The ruins of Eli's outpost were still burning, glowing orange in the night. Then, engines. 3 black ships hovered above the ridge, scanning the ground. Searchlights swept across the sand. They're here, Eli muttered. Cale pointed weakly to a tall tower at the far end of the canyon. Its top flickered faintly. The uplink tower. You can use it to send the message. Eli looked between Cale and the ships. We'll never make it on foot. Cale placed a hand on the ground. The sand under his fingers shimmered blue, then solidified, forming the shape of a small hovercraft made of energy and dust. Eli stared. You can do that? Cale gave a weak smile. For now. They climbed onto the craft and it lifted off the ground, gliding fast through the canyon. Searchlights passed above them, but the storm helped hide their trail. Eli gripped the controls. Hold on. Behind them the alien ships turned, chasing. Blasts of plasma lit up the sky. Sand exploded around them as the craft swerved between rocks. Cale looked up at the stars. You humans never give up. Eli smirked. Guess that part's still true. The tower grew larger ahead, old, broken but still standing. We're almost there. Eli shouted. But then one of the alien ships dove low, firing a direct shot. The hovercraft shook violently, spinning out of control. Eli fought to steady it, crashing it into the sand near the tower. He pulled Cale out of the wreck. We made it. Cale looked weak, his glow fading fast. Go. Upload the signal. Eli nodded, sprinting toward the tower's control panel as the alien ships circled closer. Behind him, Cale whispered something to the wind, a language Eli didn't understand. Blue energy began to swirl around him, gathering strength. Eli connected the terminal to his wrist device. Come on, come on. A screen flickered, uplink ready. Cale's voice echoed faintly. Eli, once you send it, there's no turning back. The whole galaxy will hear the truth. Eli pressed the button. Then let them hear it. A beam of bright light shot up from the tower into the storm clouds, splitting the night. The alien ships froze midair, their systems flickering. Cale smiled faintly, eyes closing. You did it? Eli turned toward him, but before he could reach Cale, another explosion hit the ground, throwing him back. Through the dust, he saw Cale's body dissolving into light. The alien hunters screamed in confusion, their ships spinning out of control. Eli crawled to his feet, shouting, Cale? But the creature was gone. Only a faint blue spark floated in the air, drifting toward the stars. Eli stood in silence, the storm calming around him. The tower's light still burned, sending the truth across the galaxy. Cale's last words echoed in his mind, You gave me life once. Now I've... The storm had passed. The desert was silent again. Eli sat at the base of the ruined uplink tower, his body bruised and covered in dust. The beam of light had vanished, leaving only faint sparks drifting in the air. He looked at the empty spot where Cale had stood, where his strange friend had turned into light and disappeared. There was no trace left. No body. No sound. Only silence. Eli whispered, "You did it, didn't you?" Far above, the stars flickered as if answering him. Then his wrist communicator beeped. Static filled the air for a moment and then, a voice. Unidentified transmission detected across all major systems. Source, human origin. Repeat, human origin. Eli's eyes widened. The message had gone through. Cale's truth was out. He stood slowly, staring toward the horizon. "Now they'll know," he said quietly. "They'll all know." But deep down he also knew, this was only the beginning. Across the galaxy chaos erupted. In the shining halls of the Velar Dominion, alien leaders gathered around glowing holograms of the transmission. The images were undeniable, humans and Velar working side by side centuries ago. Experiments. Cooperation. Shared technology. "Impossible," one commander shouted, his scaled fists slamming against the table. "The humans were savages. They destroyed everything." Another elder, her voice calm but cold, said, "Then explain this, General. The DNA signatures match both our species. The creature in the video, that hybrid, it's real." Silence filled the room. Every eye turned to the center screen, to Cale's face. The alien scientist watching whispered, "He's alive." Or was. The council leader leaned forward. "If this is true, then our entire history is a lie. The war wasn't about fear, it was about hiding something." "Hiding what?" a young officer asked. The leader's voice darkened. "That humans and Velar were once one people." Meanwhile, in a secret human colony orbiting a red dwarf star, alarms blared through the command center. Technicians stared in disbelief at the data streaming across their consoles. "Sir, we've intercepted a broadcast, it's coming from the outer frontier." Commander Holt, a tall man with sharp eyes, turned from the viewport. "Show me." The hologram flickered, Cale's message played. The footage of Project Echo, the scientists, the genetic experiments, and Eli's own face appeared. The room went silent. Holt clenched his fists. "So it's true, we made them." A young officer looked confused. "Sir, what does it mean?" Holt's jaw tightened. "It means the Velar weren't our enemies at first. They were our creation. And we betrayed them." Back on the desert planet, Eli scavenged what he could from the wreckage. His communicator showed signals flashing all over the system. Chaos, movement, and warships changing course. Cale's message had spread farther than anyone expected. Every major empire, every colony, every hidden outpost, they had all received the same truth. But not everyone believed it. Some alien factions claimed it was human propaganda, a trick to divide the galaxy. Others demanded revenge for what the experiments revealed. And somewhere deep in space someone was hunting Eli. He felt it. Night fell again, cold and quiet. Eli sat beside a dying campfire, his rifle across his lap. He replayed Cale's last words in his mind. "You gave me life once. Now I've given it back to you." "Why me?" Eli muttered. "Why was I the one left alive?" The fire crackled, and for a moment he thought he heard Cale's voice in the wind. "Because you still have to finish it." Eli looked up sharply, scanning the darkness. Nothing but sand and starlight. Then, movement. A faint shape glowed blue among the rocks. Eli raised his rifle, heart racing. "Who's there?" The shape stepped forward. It wasn't Cale. It was a small drone, old, battered, but powered by the same energy that Cale once carried. It hovered toward him and projected a flickering hologram. Eli's breath caught. It was Cale, or rather, a recording of him. "Eli," the projection said, voice calm but urgent. "If you're seeing this, it means the truth has reached the stars. But it also means they will come for you. Both sides." Eli clenched his fists. "What? I didn't start this." Cale's image shook his head. "You ended the silence. And for that they will fear you." The hologram showed a map of the galaxy, thousands of red dots lighting up, spreading like fire. "This war was never meant to be fought," Cale said. "But they could not let the truth live. So they made sure you forgot. They made sure everyone forgot. But now, memory is returning." The hologram flickered, showing fragments of the old experiments again. Scientists talking, alien volunteers cooperating, hope in their faces. Then darkness. Cale's voice softened. "There are others like me, Eli. hidden across the galaxy, sleeping, waiting for someone who remembers. The projection began to fade. Find them. Protect them. They are the key to ending this war. And then it vanished. Eli stood frozen. His hands shook slightly as he looked at the dark sky. Others like him? Suddenly his communicator beeped again. A message appeared, incoming transmission, unknown origin. He hesitated, then opened it. A woman's voice spoke. Human. Eli Graves, this is Commander Holt of the Hidden Colony Vanguard 12. We received your signal. You need to move, now. Alien fleets are heading your way. Eli took a deep breath. I'm not leaving. Not yet. Then what are you planning? Holt asked. He looked toward the distant mountains, where the remains of an old city shimmered faintly under the moonlight. I'm going to find the others, Eli said. If Kale was right, this war started because of us, and it's going to end with us. There was silence on the line. Then Holt said quietly, Then God help you, engineer. Eli smiled faintly. He already sent help. His name was Kale. He grabbed his rifle, packed what little food he had left, and started walking toward the mountains. Behind him, thunder rolled across the desert again, not from storms this time but from ships entering the atmosphere. Far above, fleets from every corner of the galaxy were moving, drawn by one truth that could not be buried anymore. The war that began in silence was about to ignite again. Only this time the galaxy knew what it had done. And somewhere in the void between stars, a faint blue spark floated, watching, waiting. The wind howled over the broken desert as dawn painted the sky in red and gold. Eli walked alone, his boots sinking into the soft sand. Each step felt heavier than the last. The message from Commander Holt still echoed in his mind. Alien fleets are heading your way. He didn't care. Kale's final words kept him moving. Find them. Protect them. The others. The hidden ones. The proof that peace could exist. Somewhere beyond those jagged mountains he would find them, or die trying. Hours passed. The desert stretched endlessly. His water ran low and the suns burned his skin. Then through the haze he saw something, dark shapes half buried in sand. He wiped the sweat from his eyes. No way. He ran closer and froze. Ships. Old human ships, war-era transports, covered in dust, hidden under layers of time. He climbed onto one, opened the rusted hatch and slipped inside. The air smelled like metal and old fuel. The lights flickered weakly, powered by something still alive deep within the ship. He moved carefully through the narrow halls until he reached the main chamber. And there, suspended in glass pots, lay three figures. Not alien. Not fully human either. Their skin faintly glowed with the same blue hue Kale once had. Eli stared, heart racing. The others, he was right. The computer beside the pods flickered on, as if sensing his presence. A synthetic voice spoke. Project Echo, Sector Delta Unit 3, active stasis maintained. Awaiting reactivation command. Eli touched the glass. Inside, one of the beings slowly opened its eyes. Blue light filled the chamber. Hello, Eli whispered. The being blinked once, and then spoke softly, with a human accent. You came. Eli stepped back in shock. You can talk. The figure smiled faintly. Kale told us someone would. Eli's breath caught. Kale? You knew him. We were all Kale, the being said. Different forms of the same code. When he sent the signal, we woke up. Eli's hands trembled. Then you know what's coming. Fleets, armies, everyone's looking for you. The being looked calm. Then they will find what they made. And they will remember. Before Eli could respond, a sharp alarm echoed through the ship. Red lights flashed. Warning, incoming contact, multiple vessels detected. Eli rushed to the control panel. Through the cracked viewport, he saw shadows in the sky, dark ships descending fast, engines roaring like thunder. He muttered, They found us. The hybrid stepped out of the pod, blue energy rippling under her skin. Then we fight. Eli shook his head. You're still weak. I'll hold them off. The hybrid tilted her head, studying him. You humans never change. She raised her hand, energy flared, and the entire ship began to hum. Outside, alien dropships landed in the sand, soldiers pouring out. They surrounded the wrecks, weapons glowing. Through the dust, a massive figure appeared, the leader of the Velar Strike Force, his armor black as night. He spoke into a comm. This is Commander Urix of the Dominion. The human Eli Graves is to surrender immediately. Eli crouched behind the viewport, whispering to himself. So they even know my name now. Urix raised his hand. If you resist, we'll destroy the site. Eli looked back at the hybrids. Can you move? The leader among them, the one who spoke, nodded. We can do more than move. She stepped forward and pressed her glowing palm against the ship's console. Energy surged through the hull. The ground trembled. Outside, the sand lifted like a storm. Lightning crackled across the sky. Yurik shouted orders. Shields up. Shields up now. But it was too late. A blast of blue light erupted from the buried ships, spreading outward in a wave. It wasn't just power, it was memory. Every soldier that touched it froze. Images flashed in their minds, humans and Velar working side by side, laughing, building, dreaming. The truth Kale had died for. When the light faded, silence returned. The alien soldiers looked around in confusion, their weapons lowered. Yurik stumbled backward. What was that? Eli stepped out of the wreckage, dust swirling around him. That, he said quietly, was the truth. Yurik aimed his rifle. You think this changes anything? Eli shook his head. No. But it changes you. Behind him, the hybrids emerged, their blue light growing stronger. They weren't weapons. They were something else, something alive, connected. The sky above rumbled again. More ships, human this time, appeared in orbit. Both sides now faced each other across the burning horizon. Eli stood between them, the hybrids at his side. One voice echoed from his communicator, Commander Holt. Eli, what are you doing? Get out of there. He looked up at the dark sky. No, Commander. Not this time. He raised his hand, signaling the hybrids. Blue energy pulsed through the air like thunder. I'm ending this war the way it began, he said. With the truth. The hybrids' light shot into the sky, merging into a massive signal that spread across the stars. Every ship, every station, every world, human or alien, received the same broadcast. The message was simple. We were one. We can be again. For a moment, the galaxy went completely still. Then, far above, fleets that were moments from firing began to hesitate. Commanders froze. Soldiers lowered their weapons. The broadcast didn't just show words, it showed memories. The faces of those who built Project Echo. Humans. Velar. Together. In that silence, something shifted. The war stopped, not in victory but in understanding. Eli collapsed to his knees, exhausted. The hybrids caught him before he fell. Rest now, one of them whispered. You did what Kale could not. Eli smiled weakly. He'd be proud of you. The hybrid smiled back. He lives in us, and now in everyone. As dawn broke fully over the desert, the first true peace in centuries began, fragile, uncertain, but real. And above them, drifting quietly in the sky, a single blue spark flickered, watching.